Hi, Cold Warrior 78 here again, out in the woods. Been a lot of talk recently about tactical things and camouflage patterns, stuff like that. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's been something that's been on my mind for a while as well. And let me just jump in. This is probably going to tick off a bunch of people, but here's my view of the world. When you're dealing with from an animal perspective, so we're going to talk initially about hunting. I don't think camo patterns really matter tremendously one way or the other. Now I know that's heresy with all the guys out there like this pattern over that pattern over whatever. Understand that animal eyes don't work the same way human eyes do. They look for patterns, but mostly what will give you away is what we used to call field craft. The ability to be still, the ability to be quiet. Years ago it was natural fibers over synthetics because the synthetics always had a shine to them. And we've kind of gotten away from that. This is a polyester, I believe, like a fishing shirt. It gives you SPF protection stuff. It's very light. I live in the southeast here where I'm sweating like a hog all the time. Wearing cotton just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So something that dries faster makes more sense, and it doesn't shine. Okay, so I would say textures, shines, things like that are much more important than the specific camo pattern. And here's what I'm going to use as proof for that. My grandfather and your grandfathers, great-grandfathers, used to hunt in a red and black plaid wool coat, wearing wool pants. I've seen what my grandfather used to hunt in. It is not in the vaguest bit camouflaged. But it is natural wool. It's got a rough exterior. And therefore, the animals didn't see him when he didn't move around. Now, add to that things like you can see shine on your skin, okay? Hairless animals are not a normal thing in the woods. So if you were going for maximum protection against being seen, roll the sleeves down, put on a glove. Again, I prefer leather just because it's a natural material. But if it's a lighter material, you're going to have an issue. Shines, things like the watch band, the metal down here, my gun. Pistol has reflections that come off it. The belt buckle, the brass casings here along the back. Any of those things that can shine that don't look natural will give you away much faster than the wrong camo pattern. Okay, animals will see that in a heartbeat. So if you're concerned about that, rather than waste lots and lots of time worrying about which camo pattern to get, try to look at the other thing. Take the shine off of various things. Wear a camo veil, a sniper's veil, whatever you want to call them. Even just a mosquito netting kind of thing over your head will help keep you less obvious to an animal. Now let's take the other half of this thing, talk about people. A lot of preppers have spent a lot of time and effort talking about different camouflage patterns and why you want to have them and stuff. If you are going for a group recognition issue, absolutely get the same kind of clothing. I understand the concept. I'm not sure I accept it, but I understand it, and that's great. Beyond that, though, again, when people start arguing camouflage patterns and you can blend into this kind of wood, and, well, this is mossy oak and it doesn't blend into pine forest as well as real tree, or stop. Again, it's field craft. The shine on the pistol is going to give me away a lot farther away than the pattern I'm wearing on my shirt. The silvery kind of buttons, these little steel buttons here, are going to shine and glint a lot farther away than you're going to be able to tell that it's on a cowboy hat. All right, the hat itself, not bad because it's a natural material. It's fur felt. Okay, doesn't reflect, doesn't radiate, all kinds of things. Same thing with that I said about animals applies to people, but even more so. People see movement. People see the glint or the flash of something shiny. So make sure you tone down and subdue everything that needs to be taken care of. Noise. You know, if you're carrying a lot of crap around, we always carry keys and stuff and phones. I mean, the best hunter's position that I ever saw was given away because he got a cell phone call just about the time he was lining up on a deer. You know, I'm not saying don't bring it, but turn it off if you're trying to be quiet. Okay, canteens. We used to, when we went on patrol, we used to jump up and down and see what kind of noise we made, what was jangling, what was bouncing, what was whatever. And then we taped it to make sure it didn't make any noise. Okay? Noise discipline, light discipline, movement. If you are trying to be invisible in the woods, you need to be still. You need to be out of the sunlight, in the shade, in the shadows. And you need to not shine. Now, from an animal perspective more than a human perspective, I've seen a lot of stuff recently about what you wash your clothes in is much more important than what your clothing is, because the animals don't see the pattern anyway. Their eyesight's not that good. But they will see the, I believe it's called UV brighteners, to make your clothes bright and pretty, and, you know, for normal wear, that's great. For out in the woods, bad idea. Don't use regular bleaches and things like that. There are a number of products on the market right now that you can wash your clothes with that don't have those UV. In fact, they have UV inhibitors instead of brighteners. So all that being said, it's not so much what you wear, it's how you act. It's the way you are trained, it's the way you do what you do. And here's a point to think about. Just go back to World War II, for example. The Marines were just starting to play with some camouflage, but basically none of the major combatants of World War II went to war with a camouflage uniform. Okay, they didn't have anything like this. They didn't have anything like the woodland camouflage that the Army used a couple of years ago, or the ACUs, or anything like that. All right. The Germans wore gray. The British had the khaki. Japanese had a brownish khaki, dark khaki kind of thing, and we had OD green. So there you go. Everybody had a different color. So it was handy for recognition. So kudos to that. But if you were in the woods trying to blend in, it was much more about, are you still? Are you shining? Are you rattling and making noise? Than what color your uniform was. So camouflage really comes down to a lot more than what you're wearing. And generally speaking, what you're wearing is some of the least important things that are out there. So consider these other things. It makes no sense to spend lots and lots of money on fancy camouflage patterns and be talking on the phone, texting, having a bright shiny thing around your neck, whatever goofy thing happens. You know, rings. You know, I'm not wearing my wedding ring right now. I love it, but gold will shine in any of the environments. So you got to be careful about that. Okay, so think about those kind of things rather than, I know it's great fun to argue about, well, this pattern works here and this pattern works there, but the reality is what you're doing is much more important than the pattern that you're wearing. Alrighty? So this is Cold Warrior 78. That's just my 2 cents on the subject. Get out in the woods, have a good time.